Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is the most anticipated game of Kireka Chess Championship, and about 73 of the channel subscribers requested this game to be analyzed. However, when the game is requested, we deliver it. So this is my game against Muhirwa Alvin, one of the best upcoming youngsters in African chess. He has won numerous tournaments among juniors around Africa. He is 14 years of age, with a promising, beautiful future in the chess world. So in my first encounter with Alvin in the Kireka Chess Championship 2023 edition, I played e4 and he played e5, and I won the game comfortably. So I'm going to show you briefly about the first game I won, and later I will show you the game he won against me in the second encounter. And here is the interesting position in the game which I won in the Kireka 2023 edition. So in this position, we had exchanged the rooks from h8, and he went on to play king goes to g6. So if you look at this position, I was playing the white pieces and Alvin was playing the black pieces. This is a position which came after playing e4, e5. So here in this position, it was white to play. So I went on to play bishop f5, attacking the weak squares. That is the pawn which is on c7. And he went on to play c6. And when I played bishop c7, attacking the pawn, which is on d6, so he played d5. So I went on to play c takes, and after f4, attacking the knight, so that I can displace it and go ahead to free my bishop to come into the action. So he played d4, and I went on to play king d2. Now you see all these squares are being taken on by the bishop. So remember also the pawn is also attacking the knight, which is on e5. So he played knight d7, and I went on to play bishop g4, attacking the knight. And after knight b6, I went on to play bishop f5, protecting my pawn, which is on e4. So he played king f7, and I played bishop b8, attacking the pawn, which is on a7. And after bishop c8, now the bishop is being supported by the knight, which is on b6. So I played bishop takes a7, attacking the knight, which is on b6. Remember, the same knight is also protecting the bishop, which is on c8. So he played bishop takes f5, and I played e takes f5. And when he played knight d7, trying to defend the pawn, which is on c5, I played f takes e5. After f takes g5, I played b4. So that when the pawn takes the pawn on b4, the bishop can win the pawn, which is on d4. And after pawn takes b4, I played bishop takes d4. And after knight b8, trying to bring the knight on c6 to defend the pawn, g4, he resigned in the game, and I came up victorious in the game. However, after 1 year, we were paired again in the Kireka 2024 Chess Championship, the strongest tournament in East and Central Africa. And I was playing with the white pieces, and Alvin was playing with the black pieces. So remember, the first encounter, I played e4 and he played e5, and I won the game. So this time round, Alvin wanted to change the weapon to use against me. So this time round, Alvin went ahead to play the Sicilian opening with c5. Let's begin the game. I played e4, and Alvin played c5, the Sicilian defense. And after knight f3, knight c6. Then I went on to play d4. And after c takes d4, I played knight takes d4. And after e6, white is not supposed to take the knight, which is on c6, because after knight takes c6, then pawn takes c6, then supports the d5 push, which makes black to have domination in the center. That's why after e6, I played knight c3, and he played bishop c5. Then I went on to play knight b3, attacking the bishop, which is on c5. So I played bishop b6, and I went on to play queen d4, trying to create weaknesses on the dark squares on the king side. So I played queen f6, trying to attack the pawn, which is on f2. You see how the bishop and the queen are attacking the pawn, which is on f2. So I played queen g3, defending the pawn and getting ready to short castle, moving out the bishop and getting ready to short castle. So he played h6, stopping the bishop g5 pin. So I went ahead to play bishop d3, and I was preparing to go ahead for short castling. And he played knight ge7. Then I went on short castling, and after knight g6, you said my bishops are all on the king side. So I decided, first of all, in order to support my pawn to come on f4, I decided first of all to play a prophylactic move. So I played king h1. Now I was very ready to go ahead and push the pawn, which is on f4. So I played short castling and I went on to play f4. Now I was planning to go ahead and to play e5, attacking the queen, and then I go on to take the knight, which is on g6. Remember, the bishop and the queen will be attacking the knight, which is on g6. So he played bishop c7, trying to attack the pawn, which is on f4 with 3 pieces. But remember also, this pawn is defended by 3 pieces. So it means white is good to go. So I played e5. And in this position, he played queen h4, the only move. Now, in this position, I was supposed just to go on and play bishop takes, and after queen takes, I take the queen, and that's all. But I was very ambitious, and I went on to play bishop takes knight on g3. And this move equalized the game on the spot. Now, remember, the bishop has been on d3 and has been supporting the rook, which is on f1. So I had not realized that after the bishop takes the knight on g3, the rook on f1 will be hanging. Queen takes g3. Then, again, I went on to become very ambitious and I played bishop takes f7. And after rook takes f7, I played h takes g3. Now remember, the rook which is on f1 is hanging. He played knight takes e5. Fantastic move. So in case of pawn takes knight, then rook takes rook on f1, and I can tell you black is winning this game on the spot. So I played knight b5, trying to attack the bishop, which is on c7. Then he played bishop b8. I wanted to connect the rooks and also develop the bishop, either bishop d2 or bishop comes to e3, so that I could also hope to dominate these dark squares. So in this position, I played bishop d2, trying to connect the rooks. At the same time, trying to ask the question to the knight, which is on e5, what's doing there. So he played, but however, bishop e3 should have been considered. So he played knight g4. Now, if you look at this knight, the knight has dominated all these squares, and the rook can still come in and also check. And remember also, when the bishop happens to get an opportunity to land on this diagonal, then this can be disaster for white. So I played bishop b4, trying to dominate these squares. You said now the knight can jump on d6 and it can secure the square which is on f5, at the same time attacking the rook on f7. Remember also, the bishop is going to be eyeing the f8 square. So generally bishop b4 was a strong move. So Alvin didn't wait for knight to sit on d6. He came in immediately with rook f5, attacking the knight which was on b5. So in this position, pawn c4 should have been considered to support the knight position. I played knight d6. He played rook h5, check. And the only move white has is to play king g1. Now in this position, you see that now the bishop needs to be on this diagonal so that black can begin gaining a winning position. So in this position, the young man played f5, attacking the bishop, which is on b4, at the same time opening up this diagonal for the bishop. Remember, all these squares are being taken on by the knight, which is on g4, and also this column is being taken on by the rook. So bishop s7 is winning on the spot. Is attacking the bishop, which is on c8. So in this position, I thought for a long time. I would like to show you a photo of this position, of how the game was being played in this position. You can see me trying to think on how to go about this move after Alvin played pawn f5. You can see me there trying to think, and things were very serious. And the young man was trying to look for revenge. So I played knight takes c8, trying to secure the a7 square. So the knight is securing the square. In case of when the bishop comes to a7, I can just take on with the knight. So he played a takes b4, and now you saw that the rook has opened on. The rook has become an attacking piece. It's attacking the pawn on a2. So I played rook f d1, trying to create running squares as for the king in case of any checks from the bishop. So he played d5. Remember now the rook I'd attack the pawn, which is on d7. So I played f5 to support it, and I played knight d4, trying to block the bishop diagonal. So I played bishop c7. Rook is attacking the knight. Even if I would go ahead to play knight check, and then if he plays king comes to f7, and still the continuation is a little bit not easy to go about. In case of knight takes pawn on e6, still trying to attack the bishop, which is on c7, still black would be a pawn up, or it would be a piece up. And in case of even knight coming to e7 check, king can still come to f7, and in case of a knight takes, still the bishop can be very powerful, and knight has no running squares in the position. So I decided to play f3, that in case rook takes the knight, still I can also play pawn takes pawn on b4, and I can try to go on to play the game. At least I've taken a pawn up. So he played rook takes c8, and I played a takes b4, and he played bishop b6, pinning down the knight immediately and saving the pawn, which is on e6. So I played c3, trying to defend my piece, and in this position, he played rook f5. But in case he would try e5, would have been a very strong move in the position. And after f takes e5, rook takes e5, you can see that now the rook has been liberated, and can also always come in case of any anticipations in the future, and can be havoc for me on my side. But he played, after c3, he played rook f5. Remember, the knight can't pick the rook on f5 because it has been pinned down by the bishop. So I played rook d3, trying to cut off the squares and trying to create running squares for the king, and also try to bring the rooks. Rook f8, I played king f1, and in this position still, pawn coming to e5 would have been a very powerful move, but I played bishop d4 immediately because now the king had moved away from the pin. Rook takes d4. There was an interesting move. For example, in this position, he had an interesting knight e3 check. For example, if knight e3 check and I play king f2, then knight c2, you can see that now the two rooks have been forked, and I had no way of saving the rooks. But however, after rook takes d4, he played knight f6. So I went on to play king f2, and after rook a8, trying to challenge the rooks to be exchanged, and he can win the game comfortably. Rook e1, and then he played rook a2, attacking the pawn, which is on b2 on the spot. So I played rook e2, and he played knight e4 check. And then I went on to play king f3, trying to bring the king to the king side and try to create havoc for him. So I played king f7, trying to secure all the squares. And I played rook d1, also taking control of the last column. So he played g6, and I played g4, rook g8. So I played f5. And I was thinking that in case pawn takes, I can get a way of taking this pawn on d5. Rook d8, defending the pawn. Then I played king f4 because I was in time trouble. You see another tactic in the position on the spot. You see that knight takes c3, forking the two rooks, at the same time the rook cutting off this. So he played knight takes c3. It's a very powerful move, forking the two rooks, and I had no way of following up with the position. Ladies and gentlemen, in this position, I felt that I had had enough of the game, and I decided to resign immediately, and Alvin became victorious in this game. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the best of luck in your games.